Okay, for the second time, I'm going to record this video since I lost it the first time. So number 14, pray I don't run out of battery. The model shows two continental plates. So this is your wet graham cracker crust. So whenever you dipped your wet graham crackers in the water and you put them on the table and you rammed them together, you got these folds. Okay, those represent the mountains. The folded mountains in this model form at which type of plate boundary? So whenever two plates collide, that's a convergent boundary. Number 15. The satellite photograph below shows a large meteorite crater that's 1,200 meters in diameter and 170 meters deep. This crater is located in a flat, arid part of northeastern Arizona. How will this crater most likely change over time? It will get deeper as it fills with water. Well, we're in the middle of Arizona. It's not even going to rain. It might even spit at you, but it's definitely not going to get deeper with water. It will rise up like a volcanic crater. Nowhere in Arizona is there a volcano, so it definitely will not do that. C, it will become less deep as the rim erodes, so you probably have animals trying to burrow down in this crater. You have wind cutting across it because it's in the middle of a desert. So C looks like a pretty good choice. And then D, it will widen as it fills with lava. Nowhere in Arizona is there a volcano, so again, it's not going to fill with anything, so it's just going to erode, so C. 16. The thick black lines on the map below show the locations of mid-ocean ridges. So at mid-ocean ridges, we know the two plates are pulling apart or they're diverging. So it's asking which geologic feature is most likely to form at a mid-ocean ridge. Well, whenever these two plates pull apart, you know the magma's pushing up. Where that magma pushes up, it makes a ridge. Okay, but the magma pushing up is also known as a volcano. Okay, peninsulas are like juts of land that go out into the ocean. So Florida, the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, those are examples. A delta, you know what that is. The definition was on the board yesterday. And then a plateau is just flat land. So that's not going to happen at a mid-ocean ridge because it's a chain of mountains. So G is your best choice. 17. A section of a topographic map is shown below. What is the difference in elevation in meters between point X and point Y on the map? So point X, you can see that this line is labeled as 1600, so I'm going to write that down. Down here, I have 1200, and I know that my contour interval is 20. So the first line here is 1220, the next line is 1240, which is where X or Y lays. So 1600 minus 1240 is 360 meters. That is the difference in elevation between these 2 points. Number 18, the satellite image below shows a ship channel between South Padre Island and Boca Chica Beach in South Texas. So this is probably South Padre, this is Boca Chica Beach. The places that I've highlighted are actually islands, so these two are barrier islands. Here's the Gulf of Mexico, and you have this ship channel right here. Now they have to keep the ship channel clean or you can't get ships in here to actually get to the true coast of Texas over here, like where Corpus Christi is, for example. So they have to dredge. There's a process called dredging that they remove the sand and pull it up to the beaches. So that gives you a nice sandy beach and a nice clear channel. So that's basically what this is saying here. Without the transfer of sand, without this dredging, what would most likely occur in the area in the future? So if you were not to remove the sand, what would happen? It would become deeper? No, because if we don't remove the sand, it would not become deeper. So F is out. The ship channel will become shallower. Well, if you don't remove the sand, it will build up, causing a shallower waterway right there. So, and the beaches would become narrower because you're not moving the sand to the beaches. So the beaches would erode and the channel would become shallower. That's a pretty good bet that that's it. The ship channel would become narrower and the island would become completely covered with water. The island's not going to become completely covered with water from not dredging, so that's definitely not it. And then the ship channel would become wider. So a lot of this you just have to use your common sense and logic. Number 19, the Himalayan mountains are shown on the map below. 4 students were asked to identify the geologic process that caused this mountain range to form. Their responses are shown below. So here we have India that sits on the Indian plate, and we have China that sits on the Eurasian plate, and they are converging. So these are like your two wet graham crackers. So whenever they push together, they're making these mountains. So this is where Mount Everest is. The question is, which student correctly identified the geologic process that formed the Himalayan mountains? Well, if we look at student 1, the two continental plates converging. Yes, the two arrows are headed towards each other. That's why we have mountains, because we have mountains at convergent boundaries. So number 1 looks pretty good. Number 2, an earthquake in a subduction zone. We can't see anything about an earthquake, and we know that two continental crusts are not going to subduct, so number 2 is wrong. A tectonic plate moving over a hotspot. The only two hotspots that we even talked about are Hawaii and over Yellowstone, so 3 is out. 4, movement at a transform fault boundary. You know that fault boundaries, the arrows are actually going side by side, like the plates are pushing past each other in opposite directions, like they're just sliding past each other, and they're not like it's not a head-on collision. So number 1 is the only one that makes sense, so your answer is A. Number 20, the image shows a plate boundary. Arrows have been added to indicate the movement of the plates. So you see this plate is moving at like a northwesterly direction, this plate is moving at a southeasterly direction, and you have this little crystal feature right here. So what plate boundary feature is also shown? Is it a ridge, a valley, a fault, or a volcano? Ridges are formed by divergent boundaries, so this is not a divergent boundary. A valley is going to be a formation that comes whenever you have water running through, so that's out. We do know that at transform boundaries you have faults. A volcano happens at subduction boundaries, which is a convergent boundary, so your best answer here is H. 21. The satellite photo below shows San Francisco, California, which has many miles of coastline and an inland bay. Which area of the coastline has most likely experienced the greatest effect of erosion from waves over hundreds of years? Well, you can see my little squiggly lines here that I did in the last video. Everything that I'm showing you right here is land. Over here you have the Pacific Ocean, and you have this little opening right here where the waves have eroded past, like into the land, and it's actually flooded this low area, so we call that a bay. So all of this is water. So which area of the coastline is most likely to experience the greatest effect of erosion from waves? Well, we have N back here, we have P way back here. They're not even touching any of the water. T is in, probably like pointing to some kind of hill or mountain structure right here. So S right here is at the mouth of where this inlet is. So it's between the Pacific Ocean and the bay and all of this. So this is probably where you're seeing the most weathering and erosion. So area S is C. Number 22. The map below shows the locations of 4 active volcanoes in the Caribbean Sea. What do these volcanoes indicate about plate tectonics in this region? So if you right here, this is where we're looking. So the volcanoes form an island arc indicating a converging plate boundary. So this is forming an arc. So an arc is just another name for curve. So a lot of times that is true. You have a converging plate boundary. Let's just double check the rest of our answers. Volcanoes form a line. Well, the volcanoes are not in a line, so that's out. 2 plates are moving past each other, causing faulting and magma formation. They're not moving past each other. These islands are not a result from a fault, so that's like up in California with the San Andreas Fault. And then you have J. 2 plates are moving apart, creating a new seafloor. Well, we're talking about islands, so islands are not part of the seafloor, so the only logical answer that's left is F. Last question, number 23. A student stands at the point marked X on the topographic map below. What height in meters must the student climb in order to reach the top of the hill? So the student is standing at X, okay? My contour interval is 10, so if I start at 0 and count the lines, I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, my student is standing at 50, and what do you know? This dark line is halfway between 100 and 0, which is also 50. So the top of the hill is actually 303. So if you come over here and you subtract 303 minus 50, which is where I'm standing, I get 253 meters. So that is the vertical distance, or the height in meters, that the student will climb to reach the top of the hill. So record your answer and fill in the bubbles on your answer document. So just do the 253. You don't have to put in the units because it's assuming that you know the units. Alright guys, well, good luck. I hope that this has been a good and fast review for you. Next, what you need to do is get out your vocabulary notebook and start doing your weather vocabulary for the next unit. If you have any questions, just look on the whiteboard or ask your substitute. They will be more than happy to help you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.